Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. We seem to be zipping around the world with dipping our toes in so many different areas of technology and the tech industry at the moment. And even though I speak to someone different every day, I love the fact that every day is completely unique. It feels like every conversation brings something new to the table. And today I want to speak with Giovanni Gallo, co-CEO of ComplianceLine. And the company was established in 1997. And ComplianceLine is the global industry standard in comprehensive compliance solutions, offering hotline, case management, and exclusion and license monitoring solutions. Now, I know as a self-aware IT guy, that if I said to you ethics and compliance solutions and license verification, many of you will run to the hills or fall asleep on the number 72 bus to work. But it is an essential part of every business in every industry. And thankfully, today's guest has a huge personality who's also a great guy that can bring the subject to life. So I invited Giovanni on the podcast today to talk about their work at ComplianceLine, but also the tech startup scene in North Carolina and indeed Charlotte in North Carolina and why it's home to 900,000 small businesses. So there's just a few hints at the kind of things that we're going to be talking about today. So let's get Giovanni onto the show. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Giovanni. Can you tell the listeners a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
I'm Giovanni Gallo. I'm co-CEO and Chief Development Officer of ComplianceLine. I lead the company with my brother, and we really see ourselves as servants to our internal team to help the people on our team grow and build opportunity for them in their lives. And then externally for us to help make sure that if a leader cares about his or her people, then we try to help them get the job done right and make sure that it's not harder than it has to be from the perspective of knowing what's going on in your business, what might be going wrong, and having clarity on what to do about it.
So my understanding is that your software and services give compliance teams clarity to know how they can do the most good. But for people that are tuning in today and hearing about ComplianceLine for that very first time, can you tell me a little bit more about the kind of problems that you're solving for your customers and ultimately what makes your offering different from all those other solutions out there?
Yeah, sure. I'm glad you asked that and real glad to be here talking with you. And most people are not like me, where most of your friends are probably not compliance professionals. So it's usually easiest to talk about the broad employee perspective. So an employee is going to interact with the solution that we provide when they're going to be a whistleblower or they're going to report something that maybe your manager is ignoring or you're afraid to speak up about. Then we have ways that you can report. We're a unbiased third party. It's safe and it's secure. You can be anonymous and all those kind of things. So that's the piece of the puzzle that most people as an employee would hear about during orientation, or maybe you have a friend or you see something in the news. That whole whistleblower thing, transparency, kind of reporting wrongdoing is what we're a part of. And we very much view those employees who have a problem that they can't safely report. They're definitely part of who we think of as our client and our customer. Who we serve most directly is a leader in the compliance program or an executive or someone on the board. They're constantly dealing with this issue where they don't really know all the things that are going wrong or might be going wrong in their business, or by the time they find out about them, it's too late. So they're either dealing with that problem or they're kind of buried in what we call the data deluge and administrative work to make sure that you're complying with regulations and all your policies. So we help that in a bunch of different ways through our hotline. We have online reporting, case management system, specialized employee background screening. But really within all of that, every interaction with us should be different because, and get ready for this, Neil, we actually care. So, everyone knows what it's like calling the cable company or calling the electric company for something like that. I've found that in business, most vendors are more like that than what it's like when you get great service at a restaurant or a hotel or something. And by us caring, that means that we're responsive. We really understand and care about what challenges our clients are facing. We provide real quality, and more than just being SaaS and being service, we really see ourselves as servants, as helping our clients and helping people who care about their people get a difficult job done.
It's so refreshing to hear that, especially obviously that you care. And also what you do stretches far beyond just the examples that you gave me. I mean, if we look at, for example, a highly regulated industry such as healthcare, are there any use cases around that you could share that would possibly help people listening understand the level of the difference that you're making here?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to talk about that. And let's bring it down to the ground a little bit. So, broadly, we're bridging the gap between the desires of, head office or the central office, and that might be their policies, that might be their desire to not get in trouble with regulations, or just their heart to really care about their people. We're bridging the gap between that and people on the front line. So you brought up healthcare. Let's talk about nurses, right? So, nurses are doing God's work. They're caring for patients. They're, in there every day, kind of making sure that the things get done right. They're really focused on patient care, and they have to deal with and deal around the results of operational challenges. So there's staffing. They might not have the supplies that they need. They might have a peer or a manager who's behaving improperly. So they're trying to take care of these patients, and, there are certain things that are outside of their control that they see that are wrong. And, what do they do about that? So you can go to your manager. That's obviously the first place you should go. And when that's all healthy and you have a good team and a good manager, that all works really well. But as we all know, everything doesn't always go according to plan. So, when those nurses see that a patient hasn't gotten their medicine, or we're understaffed and we can't provide the quality of care that we need, or, something more serious, then they can report to us. We have a hotline you can report via phone. You can report online via secure portal. We're rolling out text-based reporting, and that all comes into our case management system, which, if you'll excuse a cheesy analogy, our case management system is kind of like the nervous system and the circulatory system of the company's body, right? So that information is coming in. We're moving it to the right people. The right people are looking at it saying, okay, this needs an investigation, or we need to check into this more, or let's find some more data about it, and flows all the way through that process, ultimately to a resolution of, let's fix this problem. Let's make sure it doesn't happen again. Let's give, the person who's causing the problem some training, or whatever else might need to happen. Does that make sense, Neil?
Yeah, absolutely. And am I also right in saying that you help industries from higher education to energy to finance to insurance? It's right across the board, isn't it?
Yeah, really, it's everywhere, because you know what? Like, the complexity and the problems are caused by people. So if there's a company and there's people in it, you really need something around compliance to make sure that this stuff works right. So historically, ComplianceLine has been really strong in healthcare due to our founders, their network and what they knew well. But we provide service in over 100 countries. We provide service in over 200 languages. We help international manufacturers keep their employees taken care of across continents. We take care of all of the employees at large telecom companies like AT&T and CenturyLink are both clients. We, do a lot of universities, city governments, contractors, and on and on. And generally, the way we think about it is, if someone cares about taking care of their employees and making sure that nothing slips through the cracks, we want to be able to provide a good solution to them. Generally, that, the people who hire a professional solution like this are either in highly regulated or risky industries like some of those that we've mentioned, or they just get big enough that they know that they really need a safety net under this large organization, because again, you can't always rely on everyone following all the policies and stuff.
When I was researching you guys before you came on today, I quickly noticed that ComplianceLine launched License Check recently, which is described as an innovative new service to address the unmet needs in license verification. But for anyone that's missed that announcement or unsure around that kind of world, I mean, can you expand on the announcement and essentially how it's helping and giving value back to businesses?
Yeah, thanks, Neil. We're really excited about this. Generally, you want to make sure if you're going to get surgery that your surgeon is licensed, that if you're running a laboratory in healthcare, that your lab techs all have the proper certifications. And even outside of healthcare, if you're a financial advisor or whatever else it might be, this is what License Check is doing. You have all these employees. If you only have 2 surgeons working for you, it's maybe easy to do it yourself, but you employ hundreds or thousands of employees. We're going to help you do that at scale. And similar to how we launched Sanction Check, it's another one of our screening and monitoring business lines. As with most of our innovation at ComplianceLine, this license check service was really customer centric. What we found is that the existing solutions in the market, they've been really unreliable. They're just confoundingly overpriced, and they're really poorly served. So, it's almost like, because some of this couldn't be automated, there are certain specific things around regulations that you have to check the primary source. You can't do too much with bots and stuff and download all the databases. It seemed like there's some quality providers that just weren't willing to invest in the service for it. And clients kept asking us, hey, you're doing such a great job doing our sanction and exclusion screening. Do you guys do license screening as well? So, we heard enough of those requests and, people asking for help, and we rolled our sleeves up. We built an automated, fully auditable, centralized reporting platform that's going to do all the required license screenings. Plus, it's going to leverage the network effects of our existing sanction check service, so that you're already giving us your employee information. We're checking these certain sanctions, making sure no one's on a blacklist with sanction check. We're going to be able to combine that. There are certain network effects of doing that along with license screening, and that's going to, with those combined efforts, we can give our clients increased visibility. We can lower their costs through this coordinated and this comprehensive specialized employee screening and monitoring. And ultimately, what we aim to do in everything that we're working on is do great work for our clients, get the job done so that their team, this increasingly AI/robot versus human divide, we're trying to get as much done so that the smart people who care at our clients can deal with the messy things instead of spending a bunch of time in administrative tasks, and applying their mind and their expertise and their heart to really taking care of people the best way they can.
And for over 20 years, ComplianceLine has been a provider of ethics and compliance solutions. But I'm curious, in that time, have you seen technology impacting and transforming the industry? And if so, in what areas, and how does that excite you?
Oh, yeah. Well, it is very exciting. I know we're not alone, but technology has almost completely transformed the way that our work is done. And I'll get back to why I say almost. But, it is really, when ComplianceLine was founded, we were writing reports on paper and physically filing them in huge cabinets, and sometimes faxing them. If maybe some of your listeners know what a facsimile is, faxing them over to clients and things like that. And we had these huge cabinets all along the wall. So, over more than 2 decades that we've been doing this, we built automation into pretty much every part of our process, into our intake, into how we process reports, into how we do quality assurance, how we deliver those to clients and make sure the right information gets to the right person as quickly as possible, because often we're dealing with something that, as you can imagine, is urgent. If it goes on for a long time without someone dealing with it, it can allow someone to get hurt or something worse. And all this allows us to really provide more value to our clients, not just through giving them clear information and better visibility, but it's something we really get excited about is helping them be more efficient in allowing each compliance professional that we serve to get more of their job done. Because in this area that we're in of compliance and ethics and regulatory work, the job is really never done. So as we've been doing this, we're just getting to the point where compliance technology is allowing us to get to these new frontiers of information access and cross-functional coordination. And that's really exciting. And we're leading the way in some of that, looking at how we can do some sentiment analysis and implement AI into our platform. But, I said almost earlier, and this is something that's really important for us because I think people rush past this. What hasn't changed is the human touch. And though we're far from being able to do everything that we want through technology, we believe that for the foreseeable future, if someone is distressed or they've been discriminated against or they've been abused at work, there are certain things that an online form is not going to be able to solve, or just the complexity of the nature of this. You have hundreds of thousands of employees with, millions of interactions in each year. There are going to be things that are not contemplated by, a logic tree built into a system. And that's why we're trying to marry the best of technology and automation with smart people in our company who care, who are compliance professionals and have the experience to take it that last mile and make sure that people get taken care of.
And I always like to ask my guests about the tech scene, where they actually live and where they're speaking to me from today. And I believe that North Carolina has a vibrant entrepreneurial community that includes more than 900,000 small businesses. So can you share anything about the tech startup scene in Charlotte and indeed North Carolina?
Oh, sure. I'd love to. It's really great here. I'm relatively new to Charlotte. I've been here for a little over 3 years, but it's really exciting to see the way that innovation finds a home in North Carolina. Charlotte is it's a fertile ground for the talent that you need and the market infrastructure to build a business. So there are lots of small businesses and also, a really nice startup scene here in Charlotte. From what I see, we seem to kind of favor B2B enablement businesses. So there's Avid Exchange for accounts payable management. Payzer does a platform for contractors. Stratified, I've heard of. They do data analytics. There's obviously a bunch of other, CPG companies and stuff like that. One that's really exciting around here is Digitize.ai. They were recently joined forces with Waystar, but they apply process automation to healthcare with a really innovative artificial intelligence model. So, we have some great incubators here. We have Pitch Breakfast and an active angel and VC community, and that spans, from Charlotte all the way over to Raleigh. The Raleigh-Durham Research Triangle really drives some good kind of science and engineer-focused startups. But it's a really nice area for, not just population growth, but really growth in innovation. And it seems to be an increasingly fertile ground for someone to start up a business.
And is there any other story behind why Charlotte is attracting so many tech professionals to the area? I mean, is it better quality of life, avoiding high rents on those $9 beers, of course, or is it something else completely?
Well, that's definitely part of it. And it's not hard to find a $12 or $15 beer if you're in New York or San Francisco. So that's definitely part of it. For myself, I moved here for ComplianceLine, for the mission that we have and the ability that we have to serve people. So I didn't come to Charlotte first, but now that I'm here, I totally get it. Cost of living and taxes are low compared to kind of your usual suspects for, tech and startups in big cities. But I think it's really the people and the culture here that make it. We have some big sports teams. We have great outdoor activities. The region is nice. We got mountains and the beach nearby and stuff like that. I think the commutes are really nice. In my opinion, if you ask locals everywhere, the traffic is terrible, but I came from Chicago and New York, so it's a lot better here. But really, it's really this beautiful balance between that Southern hospitality in the U.S. that you hear about. And, there are a lot of friendly transplants who have moved here like me in the past decade, and we're making a new life here. And, when you add the business infrastructure that supports, big banks that are headquartered here and big manufacturers, we got temperate weather, we got 4 real seasons. It's really hard to beat. If you ever come by, Neil, I would love to show you around. We got a bunch of great breweries here, and I'm enjoying to see kind of the foodie scene build up as we go along.
Oh man, I'm gonna hold you to that. You had me at breweries, all right?
Yeah, come on, man, we got it.
So, what's next for ComplianceLine? Is there anything else that you can share about with us today about that road ahead and what excites you?
Oh, yeah, man. I'm so glad you asked. So 2020 is going to be a huge year for us. I'm really excited about it. It really feels like we're hitting our stride. So we're rolling out a new version of our compliance case management system and setting that on a new trajectory for growth and innovation. We're going to be launching 3 to 5 new products, depending on how you split it, over the next year, both by building them in-house and through some partnerships. So we're going to be launching an issue management service, which allows our clients to proactively, inquire and ask people about things that might be going wrong. We're launching text-enabled issue reporting, which is in beta right now, employee engagement campaigns, and a bunch more things. But we're really excited to see some of the ways, in addition to kind of the product and technology innovation, we're excited to see us continue to dialogue and empower our customers and see the ways that those mature. So we do things like customer advisory boards where we get leaders together from our clients to kind of do a little mastermind group. We do industry roundtables, and just in the past quarter, we're trying to grow up and be like you, Neil. We launched a podcast. So Compliance Live is our podcast, and we have some guests on. We talk about issues of the day and really try to just provide value to help compliance professionals and leaders who care take care of their people better.
Excellent. Well, first of all, a huge welcome from me to the podcasting community.
Thank you.
For anyone listening, where can they find that podcast, find you guys online, and also contact your team if they've just left with any questions after listening to us today?
Yeah, thanks, Neil. Like, hopefully people can tell from, our interview today, we really just love helping people take care of what is a difficult job in ethics and compliance. So we would love to help whether someone's a client or not. ComplianceLine.com has a great resource section and several ways to contact us. That podcast is Compliance Live. You can find it on Stitcher, SoundCloud, iTunes, and all that stuff. And for me, I'm primarily on LinkedIn. I'm primarily active there, writing, commenting on industry news, and sharing some things that make us special and effective here at ComplianceLine through videos. And ComplianceLine as a company is on LinkedIn and Facebook as ComplianceLine, and Twitter and Instagram as Compliance Live.
Wow, I love what you're doing here. Not only the software solutions and the tech and everything behind it, but it really comes across that you care. Even yourself there talking about the podcast being a labor of love and commenting on industry news and building that community. Such a big thing. I could have chatted with you for hours today. Hopefully we could do it over a few affordable cold craft beers in Charlotte one day. But more than anything, just a big thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Neil. It's been a pleasure, and I love what you're doing there. I think that your heart to bridge technology to people is really where it's at, and it resonates a lot with me, and I keep doing the great work, Neil.
How cool was he? I'm going to be listening to the podcast and popping a rating and review because I do know how important it is for podcasters. And for listeners to this show, I would greatly appreciate if you did take the time on whatever platform you listen to me, leave a quick rating. It does help with those pesky AI algorithms which determine which podcasts get the traffic and which don't. Now, I think Giovanni did an amazing job of proving that ethics and compliance solutions and license verification is not an unsexy subject. In fact, I think he made it exciting. And I also need to get my British ass over to Charlotte. It sounds my kind of place. But please let me know more about the tech startup scene where you live and where you listen to this podcast, and we can get you on here too. So keep your comments, suggestions, questions, insights, whatever it is, keep them coming over to me by emailing me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, tweet me at Neil C. Hughes. You can also find me on LinkedIn at Neil C. Hughes, Instagram. I'm the easiest guy in the world to find. So a big thank you for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.